Hello, hello, and welcome back to another live Facebook and YouTube live with Prandada Prim. Today, I am so excited to have Devi Maisha on. Um, so we're still waiting for people to come on, but while we're waiting, I'm just going to say how excited I am to see that there's a countdown. So I'm like, look at all professionals. Like I felt like a kid in a candy store with all this new candy, or in a toy store with new toys. I'm like, oh.
I like the music. I was over here jamming while I was waiting for it.
I know. I didn't know it had music, so it was cool. It was nice. So hello, as people are coming on, say hello. Let us know that you're here. Just say hi. Say you're ready to hear some good, interesting stuff. And this month, September, so I'm so excited. So we're both Virgos. You got two Virgos here in September, and September is Sexual Health Month.
Yes.
So we got a lot of things to talk about for Sexual Health Month. And if you guys coming on have any questions, feel free to ask the questions, type away, say hello, write down what questions you have, and we're here for it. So, Devi, so before we, really get started, I always like to ask, like this is the first thing I always ask. How did you start working with like sexuality? So you call yourself, first go ahead and introduce yourself first and foremost. Before you start talking, let's say who you are.
Sure. So I'm Devi Maisha, and I'm a sensual energy alchemist and pleasure coach. That's basically what I am, who I am. It's what I do. And I've always been the person that my friends came to ask about sex. I've always been interested in sex. I've really always been interested in the connection between the brain and the body. Like I knew when I was 11, I wanted to be a psychologist, so I always wanted to help people. And as I got older, I saw how sex really affects people, like mostly with girls and then women, my friends, how they reacted to boys and just kind of lost their minds over it. And I was just really fascinated by that. I've done that too, but I've just really been fascinated by it. And I wanted to learn how to work with people in that way. Fast forward, I was in a marriage that was not the healthiest for either one of us, to be honest. And when I left that marriage, I thought to myself, there's got to be a way for people to understand how important relationships are, how important communication is, how important sex is, and sexual compatibility. And I kind of started my business from that.
Mm-hmm. So it's so interesting. So similar, I've always had friends coming to me for advice, never about sex stuff, but like advice, so I always knew I was going to become a psychotherapist, right? That was my goal. So similar in that sense, but I would say I was always very sexual like you, but it was very closed off. And so even in like high school, I didn't date. So I was actually afraid to date because I was like, oh, my mom is going to smell the sex on me. And next thing you know, I'm going to get in trouble. She's going to kill me. And, I grew up Christian. So it was like, I need to wait till I get married. Thank God that didn't happen because there's just no way I'd still be a virgin today at 46. Like, but so it's so interesting. Like, it's always great when I meet people who's always been kind of, open with their sexuality and in tune with their sexuality. Because for me, it came later. Like it came later where I really had to do the work to be okay with my sexuality, to be okay with who I am. And so do you feel like your parents kind of really just made that easy for you or no, not necessarily?
In some ways, yes, and others, no. So my first religion as a child was Buddhism. And I remember going to the Buddhist meetings at 4. I remember my parents chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo like it was a mantra in my mind. And so I think having had that first, and then my father going into the Nation of Islam and me going to MGT classes and learning a kind of a different way to move through the world, gave me some very interesting perspectives. And so in the context of all of that, I think my parents were they were like kind of like hippies in a way of their generation, name their kids African names. We weren't going to eat any pork. So they were open about the fact that sex existed. My mother always, I always knew how babies were made. I was never told any of the stories about it. But my father didn't speak much about it, but there was always this idea of courtship and things like that. From my mother's end, it was kind of like don't do these things because that's not what good girls do. But whatever it is that you do, be the best at it. So it was kind of like that. It was very, very interesting. Just the dichotomy of those messages. So again, I always knew what sex was. I wasn't told to wait till I got married, but I was told to wait until the assumption was if you find someone you love, you're going to marry them. I don't know which one causes more issues, because you can love a lot of, I'm polyamorous, so yeah, I can love a lot of people. But I was told to wait till I found someone who I loved and who cared about me before I had sex. And that I actually did. That was actually a really good experience for me.
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful. Yeah. See, I wish, I can't say I wish, but I guess I can. I wish I would have been able to have those conversations, because the first person I had sex with wasn't someone that I loved. It was like, I was in college and it happened, and but I did it for the wrong reasons, and so I feel like this is part of why I have this mission of let's take the taboo out of sexuality. Let's be able to talk about these things that's so uncomfortable, because I feel like it would save so many issues for so many different people, my first college boyfriend, I wasn't having sex with him because I wanted to wait till I got married, because I was thinking all of this stuff, like it's a sin, da, 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 da. And then we ended up breaking up because he didn't want to wait, like he wasn't a virgin. And then I was all hurt and pissed off and had sex with somebody else who I didn't even care about. And then he and I got back together, the boyfriend. But it was like, and then I was like, oh shit, well now I had sex with somebody else. Like I could have waited, it could have been with him. But like, so I feel like it's so important for parents to be able to talk to their kids about this, and especially mothers or dads to talk to their daughters about this, as well as the sons, just to have these conversations, because we don't learn, and we go into this world navigating with all of this misinformation.
My God, yes. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about the stuff that people come to me with, or that's still shocking to them, and a lot of this is just that no one has ever had these conversations with them. My children know way too much about sex, probably more than they'd prefer to know, but they have that privilege in a way, right, of saying like, okay, that's enough, mom. Like I don't want to hear anymore. Whereas there are other kids who are like, someone teach me something. We've always talked about sex here. Right. So they've always known what happens. We've talked about porn. We've talked about all kinds of sexual positions. How to put on condoms, all kinds of things with my daughters and my sons, and they all know that they're valuable, because a lot of people teach their girls to like, don't let someone take your virginity. And I didn't tell my daughters that. I always let them know that it was a gift that was theirs to give. If they so chose to do so. But I've also let my sons know that their seed is just as special, and don't just go floating it into any old garden. you know, that holds gold in there. So they value themselves just like I want my daughters to value themselves. And then go have fun with it, whatever it is that you do. I don't want them to have any guilt or shame around it.
Right, right, exactly, exactly. So let me ask you what let's go to your name. Well, first before I ask you that,
Yeah.
I did have another question that came to my mind. Do your kids ever feel like, oh my God, that's gross? Do they ever
All the
feel
time.
like all the time?
All the time. My youngest is so funny. He's the one who will if he were to hear this discussion, you know, he'd come to the room and he would just look at me and just close the door and shake his head. Like if he heard this, I'd already closed the door because my boys can be noisy. My daughters have moved out, but yeah, he'd have definitely closed the door and been like, I don't need to hear this, you know.
Right.
So yeah, sometimes you're like, that's gross. That's gross. I don't want to hear it.
Right. And so how about the friends? How does their friends feel? Do their friends know that you work with sexuality, with tantra? Are they like, oh my God, you got the cool mom? Like we should go learn from her or anything like that? Like
So my sons, I don't think they talk about me at all with their friends because teenage boys, and it would probably just get really weird. My daughter, she's like, she says when her friends ask, like, what does your mom do? She's like, so she talks to couples about relationships and stuff and sex, and they're like, oh, so she's like a therapist, and my daughter's just like, yeah, she's a therapist.
Right.
So she just leaves it at that. She doesn't know what else to say.
Right. That's so funny. So yeah, my nieces and nephews be like, yeah, my auntie teaches people about sex. That's so funny. So you are a sensual energy alchemist. What is that? Like, so I know we know what alchemy is. We know what sensuality is. We don't know what energy is. But tell us, what is a sensual energy alchemist? Like, what is that? What does that mean for you in terms of what you do with your work?
So a sensual energy alchemist is someone who knows how to transmute their energy using their sensuality, using all five senses. And it's the way that I found that I've transmuted many painful events in my life, from sexual assault to homelessness to poverty, because poverty is painful, to low self-esteem, depression, suicide attempt. Like I've had all kinds of experiences in my life, and I found that because people always equate sensuality with sex. And the reason why is because we are sexual beings. But sensuality is to use your five senses. It's about what you touch, what you taste, what you smell, what you see, what you hear, and how all of those things can arouse you, and how you can use all of that, to shift and change your energy so that you can shift and change your life. So that's sensual energy alchemy.
Oh, that's beautiful. I want to come get an appointment. That sounds so good. That's good. Like, yeah, I was just thinking about this conversation as you were saying that we had last night. Some people were just asking about the difference between sensuality and sexuality, and and that's it. Like, so many people equate the two as just the same thing, and I always like when the whole sensuality. I think it's important for people to understand that we are sensual beings. We have the different senses, and and so, and that these are things that we can use to transmute for healing, so we can use everything we have, for healing. So, let me just say hello to those who are coming on that said hello. Hello, Vicky. Hello, NC Worker. Thank you guys for coming on. And those who else who are on, say hello. Don't be shy. I like to see who I'm speaking with. Say hello. Ask any questions that you have. And this month, September, is Sexual Health Month. So, if there's any questions that you have about sexual health, ask away. And I think that, it's good that we have a whole month for Sexual Health Month. It's so interesting. I was just talking to a friend the other day that this month is also Suicide Awareness Month. So September, Suicide Awareness Month and Sexual Health Month. Now in May is Mental Health Month as well as Masturbation Month.
Yes,
So it's
yes.
so interesting that we tie sexuality with mental health.
Yes.
Like these 2 months, we have these, they're connected. Yes. So there's definitely a connection. There's definitely a connection.
There absolutely is. And if there's nothing else like that, like there are things that really anger me. Like they just really make me want to just tear my my own hair out. And it's this idea that sex is a bad thing, and that it's a wrong thing, and that so many religious beliefs have been tainted to teach us that sex is this bad, wrong thing. But yet when we look at the pairing between good sex, healthy self-esteem, healthy body image, mental health, it says something totally different. And the fact that this society, it's like, do sex, but don't let anyone know you're doing it. Let it exist, but in the background, in the shadows. And that brings so much shame. Right. And with shame comes mental illness. It comes a disjointedness, a fracturing of the self from the self. So it's crazy to me. I don't get it. Honestly, I just don't. I don't understand. So I'm glad that they pair these things with mental health. It's crazy. So my hope is that.
Yes. So those who are watching, go ahead.
No. Please go ahead.
I'm sorry. You had froze a little bit, so I didn't know if you were. Go ahead, but continue.
No. No, I was saying I hope that people understand how important sex is for their mental health.
Yeah, I love what you said. Yeah, it was freezing a little bit, so it's kind of going in and out. Unfortunately, but hopefully everybody. I'm sure everybody heard you. It's my internet. People who watch me all the time knows my internet gets kind of crazy being here in Brazil, but it is, and so it's so important. Sexual health, our sexual energy is connected to everything. It's so connected to everything, and if we have all of this repression, this guilt, this shame, as you're saying, it is going to cause depression. It is going to cause anxiety. It is going to cause so many different issues. And when that's blocked, then, it blocks us in so many different areas, even in different areas like abundance. Things are not able to come to us and flow to us when our sexual energy is blocked, when our sensual energy is blocked. So, it really is important to allow this to flow through us and release this trauma that you have, release this guilt that you have. So those who are coming on, if you've experienced any type of shame related to your sexuality, any type of guilt with anything, comment. I'd love to hear from you. If you have experience and you found something that's helped you to be more comfortable with your sexuality, share that as well. Definitely like this to be, inclusive conversation. So let us know what you've experienced in terms of the shame and the guilt, So now in terms of like with your work with the Sensual Alchemy, so you also work with Reiki and you've done some like Shamanic Tantra. Tell us about that. Like, how do you so I assume that you kind of include and mix all of that into this sensual alchemy that you do. So
more so when I did body work, when I did in-person body work, I definitely incorporated a lot of aspects of Reiki and different parts of acupressure and other things that I had learned through the Grand Trine system and then through Usui Reiki. I would incorporate that in my body work. I don't do body work obviously not right now anyway, but I had stopped for a while. So I still incorporate that, but more on an energetic level. So it's really about me attuning myself to my client virtually, right? Especially if we're at, screen to screen, I really have to make sure that I'm open and attune myself. So similar to a Reiki session, where there's no touch, I'm making sure that I'm attuned to them. In terms of the shamanic tantra, I don't have to apply that as much to the actual physical part of what I do, but in terms of some of the psychological pieces that I've learned over the years, and I studied psychology as well, I incorporate that into my sessions more than anything else now, and just helping to shift my client's energy by transmuting it through me if necessary. But that's really where the focus is right now, and that's how I use the skills. I'm actually doing another tantra training. It's a year long, starting in January, so that will also add some new tools to my toolkit.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yes. It's so nice to learn different things. It's always so nice to learn different things and add them to your toolkit. I'm actually about to learn yoni breathing. Well, I just started. Well, I kind of already started with Tafari. He was on, and then Katrina, who I just had on my last live, who I'm actually going to be on her live next after this. She does the yoni breathing course and online, and so I'm going to start learning that. But sometimes I feel like, there's so much out there to learn. There's so much out there to, so it's like, I don't know. And you're a Virgo like me, so I think that it's like
I'm a learner. I'm a
learn
learner. Yeah. Even if I had no clients and I had no business whatsoever, I would still probably be taking all these courses and things just for myself. It's just, I love going deeper, and I love it's really about self-awareness for me. This really started as a journey of self-awareness. It didn't start as let me go do this thing or have these clients. It really started as me getting to know myself, and then realizing maybe other people could use what I've learned. And so let me find a way to share that with them. But it grew out of me wanting to just be more self-aware. Like, why do I keep making these same mistakes? Why do I keep choosing these same people? Why am I still poor? All of these different questions. And I needed some answers.
Yes.
And once I began to find them for myself, I thought maybe I can assist others in finding their answers too.
And I think that's the important piece, so I was similar as well in terms of going through my journey. And for me, I never thought about becoming a tantric therapist and working with that. It was just something that I ended up living in a tantra commune for 2 years. 2 years living in there, doing the work, doing tantric massage, tantric yoga, tantric meditation. And so it was really a journey for self-healing. And then I decided to start working with it, I feel like it's important. And I think for people that are watching, it's important to hear like what you just said, because, when we go to someone who's done the work, who actually needed to do the work and do the healing, not needed, but actually did it, they can take you farther. There's some people who just go in and study and they haven't done the work, they haven't practiced,
Yes, absolutely. 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 And I think that, it's so funny. I just had this conversation with someone who I was telling her a piece of myself, an incident that happened with me when I was younger, and she couldn't believe that someone like me would not have a voice, or would seem quiet, or would not stand up for myself. And I told her, when I was younger, I was absolutely just unable to carry my own strength, unable to carry my own voice. I know she is, Paul. She says that happens sometimes with her internet, but she says she'll be back because she's in Brazil. So sometimes it gets a little spotty there. So hopefully she'll be back on quite soon, as this is her show. But until she comes back on, for those of you who are on this journey, it is a journey. It is not something that we all want it to be better so quickly. We all want it to be fixed. She is back. Yay. Your audience was like, hey, because they love you, wanted to make sure you were okay. So I was just saying that this is the journey. I was speaking to a friend of mine, and so I was letting her know. I was recalling the incident. I was about 26, and no, I was 26, and I'd taken my son and my daughter at the time to the doctor, and this doctor was so rude, so rude. I remember my daughter was crying, and she told my daughter to shut up, and I just stood there and said nothing. I said nothing, and I walked out of the doctor's office just feeling so like, why didn't I say anything? This is my child. And she's like, I can't believe that something like that would happen to you. And I was like, well, the person you see now isn't the same person that I was at 26. This was part of the journey. I was the type of person that didn't want any conflict.
Right.
I wouldn't say anything, to anybody. And there's something that as you go through this self-awareness and as you learn how to really use your sensual energy, your sexual energy as part of your compass, and you understand how powerful you actually are, that you start to see shifts. And you find out that a no is sometimes far more powerful than a yes. Far more powerful. But it took a journey for me to get to that point. And I was saying that while you were coming back. So yes.
Okay. Wow, yeah. It's the journey, and I think that we need to go through that journey, right? Like so many times, so many of us, like different journeys, like so many of us is just like, oh my God, this is so painful, this is so difficult, I don't want to go through this. But it helps us to learn, it helps us to grow, and it helps us to become, who we are. And so, I'm thankful for a lot of the different things that I've gone through. I don't necessarily wish everything. I'm like, okay, this is part of what's made me who I am.
Right.
And,
exactly.
And I see Noni here. Hi, Noni. Noni says it's been a long journey getting in touch with her sexuality, and her Buddhist practice, Reiki practice, has helped. Yeah, and I know that that's one of the things that you had mentioned, Devi, Maisha, that your parents were first Buddhist. I'm Buddhist now. I live in a Buddhist temple as well. So, and I also have a Reiki practice. So, I think those things, and you also do Reiki. So, those are things that it's just good to have something to help ground us and help us to go through whatever it is that we're going through. I hope you hear me because you look paused.
Mm-hmm. I do. I can hear you.
Can everybody hear me? Can people hear me? Oh, you can?
I can hear you loud.
Okay. Yeah, my internet is still acting up. Like you're frozen. Okay.
Oh no, I can hear you.
So, so I think it is important. You can hear me? I think there might be a delay.
Yes.
So I don't know. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. If not, you can't. If you can't hear me, I hope you can hear David Maisha talking, and hopefully she's talking. So it's not just silent.
No.
But so the wonderful world of technology, I tell you. So, Devi Maisha, if you can hear me, what's something like, what can you I heard you laugh. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Well, Oni said Ashe. So She definitely heard. Okay, so okay, good. So it's Sexual Health Month. Like, what's maybe a tip that you can give for people for Sexual Health Month to kind of help them be more comfortable with their sexuality or anything that you can think of. Okay, so Patrice says my sound is good. Noni can hear us both. Thank you, lady. Thank you. Okay, good.
Sexual Health Month. One thing I would love people to know is that a healthy sex life is part. Mental health is part of your sexual health. That there is no difference between the two. And again, it's funny that it's not funny, but it's interesting that it's Suicide Prevention Month as well, like you said. That's the one thing I would really want people to know is that your sex life and your sex is part of your overall health. It's not a separate activity that you do, whether you have a partner or you're having sex with yourself. This is all part of your personal health. And it should not be ignored or shoved to the side, or I'll get to it later, or, I don't have time for that. If you're going to make time for meditation, make time for sex. Sex is meditation, right? It really is. If you're going to make time to go to the, everyone says, go to the doctor, get your yoni checked out, make sure everything is good. Yes, absolutely. But also just make sure that you're developing your own, excellent, Noni. Also make sure that you're developing your own sex practice. Everyone should have a sex practice, a self-pleasure practice, a practice with one partner, two partners, something. So that's what I hope that people get, not just STIs and safe sex, but really the other parts of sexual health that are important. I hear that, Noni. It takes us all a while to learn that stuff.
Yes, because that's yes, it does. And it's, and I like that you said that because, when we're in school, we learn about the STIs and that, and don't do this, don't do that, wear condom. And that's good. That's good. We should learn that too. But there's so much more to learn. I mean, so many people don't even know the anatomy, right? People don't know how powerful sex could be. And yes, it's a meditation, and that it can be such a powerful divine tool that we use, that we can connect to, that's right there. So I like that. And I definitely, always constantly talking about masturbation. It's so important to masturbate, especially for women. Men do it all the time, but women, a lot of times we grow up with that stigma: don't touch yourself, that's wrong, that's disgusting. And so many women don't masturbate, or they think, oh, I should only masturbate if I'm single, if I don't have a partner, or they wait for their partner to give them pleasure. But it's important for us to know our bodies. It's important for us to have dominion over our bodies, and so whatever our partner can do is just the added bonus, but we, this is part of our power that we have.
Yes, I just get excited talking about this stuff. Like I love it. Oh, am I? Can you see me? No, I was just saying, I get so excited just talking about this stuff. The energy of it is delicious, I mean, can you imagine if everybody was just like you and I are right now? I mean, come on, there would be the problems in the world would be so small. So small.
Yes.
Everybody would just be aroused and happy.
True. So small. And I think that's a big part of it too, right? Like, I think the government, the powers that be, don't really want everybody to be happy, and a big part of it is about dominating and controlling. So the best way to do that is, to not teach us about this, not teach us about sexuality, not teach us about what can bring us true, pleasure and things like that. So
Yes.
Let's see. Noni says, my trauma surrounding my sexual molestation had me believing as a young woman I could say no. And if I didn't, meant nothing. If I did, it meant nothing. Mm,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yes.
So couldn't say no. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That is a lesson that
Yeah.
that is
Yeah. And
learned.
that's the other
I
thing.
learned the same.
Mhm.
That is a lesson that
That you couldn't say no.
yeah. Right. Because to say no, first of all, it wasn't going to be heard. And then people would be angry at you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you don't want that anger. You don't want that. And so a lot of times you just
Mm-hmm.
try to be good. You try to be nice. You try to be complacent isn't quite the word, but you're always available,
Mm-hmm.
just always there to please and make everyone okay, but inside it just chips away. It chips away
Yes.
at you, and there's this powerlessness that just does not, you lose yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to say thank you to Noni for being courageous and brave. You know, she says, "I'm
Yes.
sorry, I'm very nervous. I never talked about this so publicly." And you know, thank you first and foremost. Thank you for trusting in us, trusting in this space to be able to open up and share because it's not easy at all. You know, not easy at all. And this is why we're here. You know, it's so important for more people to be able to open up, to be able to feel comfortable, and to be able to share because we help each other. We help each other in that way. You know, we help others learn from ourselves, you know, from the things that we've been through. And, you know, and we shouldn't have to suffer. We shouldn't have to suffer in silence. We shouldn't have to, you know, keep it within us, you know, this pain, the suffering, the trauma we've been through, any molestation, any rape. And it's the numbers are so high. How many women have had some form of sexual assault? It's crazy how high the numbers are, you know?
It is. It
So
is.
yeah,
It is.
yeah. And yeah, it is. And
Yay.
you know, and I started saying earlier about you know, the first person that I had sex with, and the crazy thing is the first person that I actually had sex with was a guy who actually attempted to rape me, and I've never even really shared this, but he attempted to rape me, and I was able to get out of it, you know, and it didn't happen. But then later in college, you know, he was there, he was visiting, and somehow we became friends again. I don't know, it was like crazy. And then I ended up giving it to him. I was angry. I was in another place, and it was a bunch of us.
Yeah.
And then somehow, you know, drinking and stuff, you know, they left, and it was just him and I. And so it's difficult because at that point, I had so many different emotions going on through me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't say no at that time. And I was in my room, and it was like, okay, well, he's in here, you know, like, you know, what can I do? Like, I brought him back to my
Right.
place, like, you know, and so you have
Right.
all of these different things that we go through for many different reasons, and we end up having sex, whether we want to or not. And so many times men can be so persistent, women can too, but you know, a lot of times men are persistent, and then the woman just kind of like tired of saying no, tired of fighting back. And it's not necessarily anybody's fault in that sense, but we learn that, you know, how many movies we've watched or TV shows, those romantic comedies where the man is being persistent and the woman is not interested in her, and he keeps going, and then finally they fall in love and get married happily ever after, you know. So we're taught, and then the other thing is we're also taught as women, you can't be fast, so you have to say no. You have to say no at first, and so people get confused, and then they're like, well, maybe she's just saying no because she doesn't want to appear fast, so I'll just keep being persistent. And you have this cycle that's going on, and then eventually somebody does something they don't want to do, or somebody gets hurt. So it's like, we got to stop these games. We have to have this education, and we have to talk about these things, you know? So, Noni says her experience was a date rape. Yeah, that happens so often. So often.
Yeah, so often. I want to say I'm glad, Noni, that you're feeling safe here. That's kind of what learning Reiki and learning those other modalities, even if you're not touching someone, can do. Is it creates this feeling of safety for the people who are in the circle. And I find that to be beautiful. Oh my gosh, you touched on so much in what you just said. And I tell people all the time that men and women have suffered so much under what all of this is. We both have the messages that we've been given have just completely turned us inside out. And the lack of communication that happens, the lack of teaching that happens, women going through so much sexual assault, and men, unfortunately, too, usually as boys, it happens. And I'll tell women all the time that the guys that you see who are sleeping around with so many women, they may have been sexually assaulted. And now they're trying to somehow reclaim power, trying to somehow reclaim a sense of what they think their manhood is. And oh my gosh, when you talked about the movies, so true, so true. How do you know the difference? And we're not taught to honor our emotions. Most of us come from households where you weren't allowed to speak your emotions like that. You aren't allowed to express. So how do you even know to put words to them? You don't know what it feels like. You find yourself in a situation and you can't even identify in your body what it is that's going on. When there's a thing now, and I'm so happy with parents who are not forcing their children, for instance, to hug relatives they don't know. Most of us grew up in households where it was go hug auntie so-and-so, go hug your uncle. You had no ownership over your body starting at 3 and 4 years old. You couldn't say no. It was disrespectful and rude to even attempt to have someone not touch you. You understand how that can affect people later in life? Like, I don't have the right to say no. My body doesn't belong to me. And in some families, you're even taught that, especially as a girl, your body belongs to your parents. No tattoos for you. You can't cut your hair, right? Your body isn't yours. It belongs to these other people. Of course, these things are going to happen more often because we don't ever feel like we have any right over our own person.
Right. Exactly. And then even as women, we don't own our bodies just in general. Men own our bodies. It's men. Our body parts are named after men, and I talk about this all the time. Like the G-spot, named after Grafenberg. And not only that, like the Skene gland is named after man. The Bartholin gland is named after man. These are parts of our body, but they're named after men. It's men who discovered them. Right. And it's just, it's like, so, so it's like, so first we learn that our bodies are not ours. It's our parents, belong to our parents. Then it doesn't belong to us. It belongs to men, and if you're married, you can't say no to your husband. You should give it to him whenever you want. Like, you're married. So there's all these different things. And so we just don't take ownership of our bodies. We don't take ownership of ourselves, No. So,
and it's so important that we as women feel powerful in our bodies. When we do, I really think as a collective, individually, of course, but I think as we grow into this more as a collective, we're going to see shifts in the world.
Yes,
we really are, because the just as we are the doorway into this realm, we are always the doorway. Nothing comes into this realm if not through us.
Exactly.
It just does not, Exactly. And so as we begin to shift and grow and understand what the true nature of our power is, the world will have no choice but to shift with us.
Yes. 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 So Noni says she needs a gland class. So it's so, it's so funny because I'm sure you do this work too. I bring women to Brazil every year in April of every year for a retreat. And I do these exercises with the women where first and foremost, we look with the mirror and they look at their yonis, the vagina, the pussy, the cunt, whatever you want to call it. Let's not shy away from these words, these terms.
Oh.
People are like, oh my God, and I have them look at it. And then I teach about these things like, and so the skin gland, since I already brought these up, the skin gland is where the female ejaculation comes from. And the Bartholin is for lubrication. That's where you get moist, where you get wet when you're aroused. And none of these women, every time I teach this class, they don't know what it is. They haven't learned that. They don't know about their bodies. And I actually have them massage themselves, look at it, talk to themselves. So Sexual Health Month tip. Take a mirror, look at yourself, look at your yoni, talk to her, connect to her, say beautiful things, and I've done this and I continue to do this. And I've said how, I'm sorry for allowing such and such to enter you who didn't deserve to be with you. I'm sorry, for this. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being healthy. Thank you for being clean. Everything that wants to come to you, say that, connect with her, massage her, give her attention. And those are just so important, such important things to do. And, we didn't grow up learning about this stuff. We didn't grow up learning to do this. So it wasn't until like I'm in my 30s that I actually, my first intimate gymnastics class that I took was really the first time I saw myself down there. I was like, oh, and even the first time I had to masturbate, I was like, oh my God, that's gross. Like I can't touch it. It feels yucky, and it's like, it's a shame that, as a woman touching myself, I could feel that way, that like, oh my God, this is gross. But a dick I loved, penis I loved. Guys, if you can't hear these words, close your ears. But, and I've always just loved to touch it and see it and have it in my mouth. But me, it's like, I remember the first time it was like, yeah, you should touch down there and smell yourself. And I'm like, smell myself? Like, what? Like, how else are you going to know what you smell like or you taste like? Like, you should know what you smell and taste like, because then you can know if there's something wrong or something going on down there, right? So, but we think these things are gross. We're like, I'm not doing that.
No, absolutely. I've been encouraging women to create their own porn. Like when you're in the midst of your self-pleasure, and there's something to me that's so erotic about watching the pussy after an orgasm. Like when you record yourself, you have a mirror, and right after you've had your orgasm with your toy, your hand, whatever, there's this pulsing that it does. They're just like the muscles are doing all by itself, and it looks juicy. It is magnificent. It is one of the most beautiful things to look at, in my opinion. And when it is yours, when it is your body that you're looking at, I think it has all the more significance, even more meaning. So I encourage women especially to record yourself playing with yourself, record yourself with your toy, create your own personal porn, watch yourself, enjoy yourself. That is an experience. That is an experience to be had. So that's it. If I could leave another sex month health tip, it would definitely be that, is to look at yourself in that way, and also to watch yourself become engorged. Watch how your lips change shade and begin to grow, the outer lips, your outer labia. Just watch how they puff up, because your clitoris is expanding to 3 times its size, because it's ready to receive all that pleasure. It's a beautiful thing. Like the pussy, so it's like a flower that opens. I don't think people even like pay attention, but because we're not looking at it. But when you take a mirror, it's like a flower that just like.
So, you know, my internet went out again, so I missed what you said, but I love that I came back to Rosemary saying, so happy to be free to enjoy my poom poom.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, Hunty.
It's all about the pleasure.
All about the pleasure. All about the pleasure. So, as people are coming on, we got a few minutes left. Does anyone have any questions for either of us? Any questions? Any other comments? Any questions for the Sexual Health Month? Anything? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Let us know if you have any questions or anything. I tell you, the time goes by so fast. Like
it does.
It really does. You know, when I first
Yeah.
started doing these lives, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do only 30 minutes, you know, because 30 minutes is a long time. But it's like 30 minutes is like you're just getting warmed up and just getting in. And then you're talking and then people are commenting. It's like the next you know, like it's an hour.
It is. Especially when the conversation is good. You just don't know. You know, like you're not watching the time. Right,
exactly. So yeah. So we'll give people a few minutes to ask any questions. You know, and so just kind of I missed like what you just last said. So
I'll tell you. I'll tell you, I was suggesting that women record themselves to create their own personal porn. So like when I'm in the midst of self-pleasure or whatever, toys, hands, I will record myself. And I've got porn for me to watch later. And it's just, there's something about hearing your own self, your moans, your sounds, seeing the sight of your pussy just like doing what it's doing, that can be so arousing. And I always encourage women to create that experience for themselves, to just look at the process, you know, just put the phone on a tripod or sit it up somewhere and just, you go to town and look at it later, you know, don't worry about it. You're going to be like, oh my. you should see what your lovers see, you know?
Yes, I like that. I've never thought about that. So I'm going to do that. Now I have did an audio recording, and I go back and I listen to the audio, and that turns me on because I just hear myself moaning. And I was like, oh my God, that turns me on. So, but someone else had told me about that, and I was like, oh, she was just happened to be talking like that. She does that, and I was like, I've never done that. So this was like 2 years ago. So then I did that. I was like, oh my God. But now I'm like, video, make my own little porn. I love that. So
yes, absolutely.
Yes. So guys that are coming on, if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. People on YouTube and Facebook, I know you're enjoying this. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. So if you really got something from this, share this. Share this with other people because they're going to get something out of it too. They're going to like it. And let's really get away from this shame, this guilt, this taboo of talking about sexuality. So hit that like button, share this with other people. And if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. So that way you can see any of my upcoming videos and things like that. So we let's take just a couple of minutes. You did say something that we didn't get into that I wanted to ask about, but you said you're polyamorous. So
I
am. Yes.
Oh, and I'm into kink. I'm just in all of the realms that are interesting to people in general, and especially melanated folk. Yes, I'm into all the strange things.
Oh, nice. Me too, girl. Me too. I'm on Fet Life. You know, I'm into the kink too.
Yes.
And you know, I'm so excited. I just got my OnlyFans. Woo woo. So people can follow me on OnlyFans. Let me put that up on here. I'm gonna put that on here. And and I've been in polyamorous relationships. So what made you get into the polyamorous relationship. But real quick, before you go into that, someone did write a comment. Let me see if it's a comment or question. Rosemary, my 18-year-old niece is just beginning to explore her sexuality. Would you recommend me teaching her yoni breathing at her age? Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. Yes. Yoni breathing. Yes. So first and foremost, any of those yoni breathing, jade egg practices, Kegel exercises. At 18 years old, you should definitely know that. Even younger, 15, 16. So historically, and I'd love to hear from you too, but historically, in ancient times, women were teaching these things to their kids, to their daughters. Because one, it has so many health benefits. It will prevent, when you get older, urinary incontinence, prolapse of the uterus or the bladder or the intestines. There's just so many different benefits, and it makes the sex better, right? So, and then this was a practice that was just lost along the way. So, but yeah, definitely. And it's just going to help strengthen her PC muscles, the pelvic floor muscles, so that she can be healthy, she can be vibrant. The elasticity, it's a muscle. So like any other muscle, the more we don't use it, we lose it.
Yeah. No,
So
absolutely. I agree.
yeah, Dev, if you want to
And
add anything to that, yeah.
no, yes, there's no, I don't know that there's too early an age to learn any of that when it comes to understanding our bodies better. I think it's all helpful. I think when young women know these things even before puberty, just understanding their body, we can alleviate this fear around our period, and we can alleviate this pain around menstrual cramps, and we can and the shame of a pad or a tampon. Because we've all been 12 or 13 and tried to pretend like we didn't have our menstrual cycle, which is crazy to me, because how did any of us get here without that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we should be proud. We should be proud. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, I can bring life in. Ha ha. But we don't do that. We hide it in middle school, because we don't want to be made fun of. And the fact that someone's made fun of for having their menstrual cycle just shows how far off the mark we are. So I believe in teaching young girls, just teach them. There are societies where people, in the South Pacific, and there were tribes in Africa where sex was ritualistic, and you couldn't even get married until you'd had sex with several men or women, so you would know what to do with your mates. So I think that there's, and no, I'm not suggesting that 8-year-olds go have sex here, by the way, just in case somebody takes that the wrong way. We don't live in those
Right.
societies. But what I'm
Right.
saying is that, yes, teaching our young women everything that we can about their body, go for it. Go for all of it. All of it.
Yeah, so agree. So agree. So agree. And then we have another question here for you.
At the end, they all come in.
I know. So we're gonna have to get onto the polyamory another time. But Patrice says, at what age did you start these conversations with your daughters? What are the introductory conversations that you are having?
So my daughter always knew about her body. I'd always told her. I've always called the vagina, and then I found that it was the vulva much later, and so I taught her that too, because I just knew vagina, right? So I always taught her about her vagina, her clitoris, her lips, all of that, and my sons as well. When she was 4, I was pregnant with her brother. I'd already had the 2, and so this was number 3. And so there we had a conversation about the penis had the seed in it, and the egg was in my body, and how daddy's seed fertilized mommy's egg, just like you would plant anything in the ground. So it was a very
Mm-hmm.
natural conversation. I never made it about sex. I made it about life.
Yes.
And so it was just like you grow something out of the earth, you grow something in the body. And so to them, there wasn't a separation. So and from there we've always had these conversations. I say, just make it as natural as possible, like anything else that happens. Oh, it rains. Oh, there's sex.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. So agree. So agree. Nice. This was so great. So you know what? We're gonna have to have you
It
come back on
was.
and talk about polyamorous.
Yes. We could do
We have
polyamory and kink, do a
a kink.
twofer with that.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. I like that. Blessings, Shyla. Blessings.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
so tell us, do you have any courses? Let me put up your information here again. So you can reach Devi Dasi on social media at Sensual Energy Alchemy. Do you have any, let us know, do you have any courses or anything coming up that you want to share?
So I do have a group for women, with vulvas, boobs, all that type of thing, or without boobs, but definitely with vulvas. Um, it's called the Sensual Energy Coven. You can actually find it through my Facebook or my Instagram, and it is a group where women can learn about sex magic, polyamory, BDSM and kink, spell work,
Ooh.
rituals. We do all of that stuff there. So if you follow me on social media and then you click the link, you can join the Sensual Energy Coven.
Oh, I'm joining. That sounds so much fun.
I
Sounds so
love
much
it. I love
fun.
it. I love it.
Yes. And so Dr. Day says, yes, I love it. Polyamory. All right. So we're going to have another one on kink and polyamory with the two of
Yes.
us. Maybe in October if you're good, because my September is all booked now.
Oh, that's
But
wonderful. Yes.
yeah, so up to October. Yeah, I try to plan out for the month to have people on there. So good. So definitely follow her on social media, Facebook, Instagram at Sensual Energy Alchemy. And Noni says, I'm enjoying. I know this has been really, really good.
Yay.
Yeah. So
Thank you,
if you're
Mo.
new, yeah. If you're new to my channel, follow me on Facebook or Twitter at Renee Adolfi. Also Instagram, _Tantra. I have a Patreon account where every Sunday I have Sunday self-explorations, Monday meditations, and Tuesday Tantric Tuesdays. So we're going into self-exploration, exploring the body, exploring yourself, learning more Tantra. And October 5th, I have a 4-week Tantra Basics Breathwork course. And so it's a really good time to just learn about breath work. I get so many people who come to me who's like, oh, the sex is not good because I'm in my head. I'm thinking about other things. And so I can't have orgasms or I come too quickly. And so breath work is a good base to really help you to be present, to stay focused and connect to your body. Also a great way to help you be grounded in this time when we have so much stress, so much anxiety. So check me out. That's on my website as well, which is www.prandadaprem.com. So you'll find that on there, www.prandadaprem.com, as well as information on my Instagram and Facebook. So don't forget to subscribe and hit that notifications bell, hit the like, share this information so that other people can benefit out of it too. Facebook user, I don't know why it does this sometimes. Thank you, ladies. Very informative. So thank you, guys. This was so great. Thank you so
This
much,
is fun.
ladies.
Thank you for
Yeah.
having me. Thank you for having me. Anytime I'd love to come back.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Well, you have a good one. And thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for coming on. Thank you, Shyla, Dr. Day, Noni, the Facebook user whose name didn't come on, Patrice. Ceci, Rosemary, and Sambayana Caesar. At least those who kind of commented. I know that there were other people on who there's a lot of people who just love to just watch and not talk, and that's okay. We feel your energy and we love you too. All right. Bye. Thank you again.